Hey everybody, welcome back to the live Q&A AMA gaming stream, Totally Pro Gaming. Jeremy, we have to nail down the name for this.
What's wrong with Angular Gaming Stream?
The Angular,
Not fun
welcome
and
back to the
funny?
Angular gaming stream. I like that. That sounds good. Today I'll be your moderator, Mark Thompson. Jeremy?
I am Jeremy Osborne, and I am tech lead for Angular.
And our very special guest in the building, Jessica, introduce yourself.
I mean, technically, I'm in a building. I don't know about the building. I am. I'm Jessica Janik. I am one of the engineers on the Angular framework team.
Oh, I should tell people what I do besides live streams.
What
So,
don't you do, Mark?
right. So one of the things that I do is I actually work on the Angular team and I work in developer relations. So we're gonna have some fun today. I'm super pumped up. What have you folks been playing? That's my real question. What have y'all been playing?
I mean, it's a question you already know the answer to. It's all three of us are playing Horizon.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Totally playing Horizon. Horizon Forbidden West is, our game. How are you folks liking it so far, though?
It's top notch.
It is pretty top notch. It's a lit. We've all talked about this a bit, but like it feels a little overloaded with options. But I guess it's not a bad thing. It's better to have more
Right.
options than not enough.
Right. It is overloaded with options. So for me, my experience so far has been that I guess I wanted it to tell me more, like, or give me a quest to do each of the new capabilities. But it doesn't really do that. It's just kind of like, oh, here's a pop up. You got this new thing you can do. All right, see you later. And then you're like, wait, how do I do that thing? I don't remember what I was supposed to do with that thing. And so that's slowing me down a little bit.
So what are we playing today?
Friends, we're
Um,
going to play. What are we playing, Jessica?
I thought it'd be fun to hop into Untitled Goose Game. If you've never played, it is absurdly silly and fun.
Okay, let's add it to the stream. Let's go. Untitled Goose Game. So Jessica's our special guest, and friends new to the stream. Here's how this works: we hang out for like an hour, and then we just talk about video games. We talk about Angular, and we take your questions live. So definitely put your questions in there, and we're gonna answer them. All right. And I
Yeah,
see some questions. I see some questions. Let's see. I don't know what this is.
yeah.
But Jeremy, do you know what this is? RTK query support?
No idea.
Okay, me neither. I don't know what that is.
I mean, I just saw someone say Elden Ring, and I want to talk about that. So
We. All right, Shukin in the building. Let's go. As first off, we didn't even greet everybody like we normally do and say hello to everyone. So first, thank you for coming to hang out with us, friends. Let us know where you're joining from. Okay, let us know where you're joining from. Put that in the chat. We want to greet you out there because we see Ninjetti there. There's Bug, Hans. Welcome back. Good to see you. Shukin in the building. Dimitri, let's go. All right, Indrajit, welcome. Shaka, welcome. Good to see you. Got a lot of people. A lot of people. Portugal. From Portugal. Wow. Okay. Rawin in the building. Rawin, you were at something else we did earlier this week. I think you were at the State of Angular. So it was super good to see you there. Super good to see you back here. Fox Die, I think, from let's see. Oh, let's go. Nifa from Ukraine. Hey, love sending lots of love to you. Ah, okay. Okay. People come from all we got people from France, people from Ireland, Matthias. Let's go. Ricky from India. Friends, we got like an international audience today. So let's go back. Let's go back and answer some of the questions or the comments. So Shukin says we need some Elden Ring in our life. Jeremy, what's Elden Ring?
Elden Ring is the latest game by the developer From Software, which is notorious for making very hard games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
Hmm. So Jessica and I had this conversation yesterday, and I was just trying to make a point that because someone on Twitter commented that hey, we should, or Elden Ring needs an easy mode so that you could experience the story. And my comment was, if you took away the challenge because of the way that FromSoft makes games, there will be nothing left.
See, I don't know if I fully agree with that because there are people with motor disabilities, and is it fair to say, or like, is it a thing you want to say that, someone who has a motor disability or, another type of disability, that like they cannot experience this, right? Like this is just straight up not for you.
So I actually thought about that. We talked about that, and I think designing for accessibility does not negate designing for challenge. I think that we should all always build from the ground up with differently able people in mind. And I think that you can build an Elden Ring game that is still challenging, but just supports adaptive control schemes, assistive control schemes, and still keep the challenge.
Yeah, it's certainly right. This is something I think the games industry is still grappling with. If you're interested in more about this, there's a podcast I listened to called The Besties, and they had an episode not too long ago about this idea of accessibility in games, in particular with a very good conversation around the accessibility of difficulty and different perspectives on that.
I want to hear that one. Well,
So yeah,
Jessica,
very
why are
cool.
you causing trouble for that poor farmer?
Well, because it's part of my tasks. I'm a jerk goose, and my goal is to be a jerk. So
All right. We should probably talk a little bit about the questions that are in the chat, though.
Yeah, I know, but I just really, oh, or I would know. I did not see you as a freaky stalker. I think you're just a really engaged part of our community, but it's good to see you. Yeah, good to see everyone in the chat. So let's get to some of our questions. Okay. What will be the best feature or change in Angular version 14?
I have to pull up the doc.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what we've committed to that we can say because we really don't like to talk about things we haven't committed to. Man, stop. Why would you steal that rose? That just feels so rude. Like, come on. I don't like this game. I don't like how you're supposed to just terrorize this person because they seem so innocent. Like just like, hey, I'm just trying to get some food for my family, and then you're just like, nope.
Let's see. So I'm looking at the list of things in the document for
Yeah.
version 14. So I think the biggest project that's going on right now is standalone components, but I don't know if it's 100% for version 14 yet.
What about type forms?
Type forms is huge, yeah.
Yeah, type forms is amazing.
Number one most requested issue of all time on Angular.
And we did it, right? Like, is that going out in version 14? I don't remember if we committed to that yet.
At least some part of it is.
Okay.
So it's something where like the entire problem space of types forms is huge, and for parts of it, for example, like the template driven forms module is not in scope for this like initial version, but I believe some part of it will be in version 14. If you go on GitHub, you can see the PRs, you can see the RFC, and progress is happening.
Yeah. Okay, so this is
I got the
okay.
keys.
You stole his key. You know what? How's he gonna get home to feed his family? So Hans asked the question: will there be anything? I think it's anything. Or will there be any time be something like a one-time binding? Can we do one-time binding in Angular?
So there's no plans for it right now, but it's not something I would rule out forever.
Yeah. And for the people listening, what does one-time binding mean, Jeremy?
So a one-time binding is something that AngularJS actually had way back when, where you would have a binding that would resolve once, and then Angular would stop watching it, and it just became static at that point. And
so we're talking about opting out of change detection.
Kind of. It's. I would think of it less as so dealing with change detection, right? Like I try to think of change detection from a user's perspective as an implementation detail you shouldn't need to worry about that much. Although in practice, sometimes you do. It's more that you know that once this data is rendered into your page, it never needs to change again. And regardless of how you are getting that data Angular then doesn't need to keep track of it anymore, right? It can free up whatever memory or whatever bandwidth Angular is using to keep track of that little spot in your template that might be dynamic. And it was a bigger deal in AngularJS because watching each expression was much more expensive in AngularJS, whereas in Angular, it doesn't really cost a ton to have that. Like, it would be wrong to say watcher because we don't have the same kind of concept of watcher, but it isn't as costly to have a dynamic expression like that. And so it's not as big of a priority to have one-time bindings like that, and also to incur the additional complexity of people needing to understand one-time bindings. Right? It's simpler to just have one type of binding that works the same way all the time.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, let's take a second question, or that second question. After property is not undefined and null, the property is excluded from change detection. This is at runtime or AOT. I want my router link property to use an enum value statically. Do you understand this question, Jeremy? I'm not quite following.
Maybe. I think though that like this isn't really the best avenue for debugging this kind of question.
Oh, is this a debugging question? I can tell if it was like a feature question. Oh, yes. So if you can frame this in a question that isn't like really project specific, Hans, like let us know how we can best support you, okay? And you can also reach out on Twitter, and then we can maybe somebody from the community has an answer for this as well that might be able to like help. Here's a good question. Do we have Instagram? We don't use Twitter. I don't use Twitter. Okay, that's a good point. We do not have an Instagram, but you can also read the Angular blog because we write a lot of the things about what we're working on, what we're doing. You can find it there as well. So blog.angular.io. We get this question a lot. Please launch Angular graphs because they're required, and then a dedicated Angular video player. But people have solved this problem in the community, and we like to defer to the packages that are already out there, right?
Yeah. So my question on things like this is always like, what is it about the existing data visualization solutions that exist today that aren't meeting your needs? Right? It's unlikely that on Angular, if we, we're not data visualization experts, right? If we were to go build a library for doing it, we would be falling into all the same pitfalls that other libraries have fallen into before and then have to fix over time. So
Right.
It's not something I would rule out forever, right? So for Angular components, it's certainly been something that I've been interested in exploring for a long time. But given the size of the team today, I don't foresee us doing that anytime in the next several years.
Okay, that's fair. So Jessica is causing lots of havoc.
I'm making a
in this
picnic
game.
happen.
But it's not the picnic for you. You've stolen all the supplies.
I need to get his hat off so that I make sure he wears his sun hat. Got to look after the gardener,
That's fair. Jessica, so what kind of stuff are you working on for Angular?
A lot of stuff I can't talk about. But
Well, it's like describe it at a high level, like at an extracted level, but just kind of describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like internal integrations, maybe.
If you're unsure about what you can and can't say, Jessica, it is reasonable to say Google has its own internal web server stack, and Jessica is leading the work on integrating Angular more closely with that internal server stack.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay,
Yep.
okay, go ahead, Jessica.
I also can say that like I've taken ownership of the animations package. So if you're a regular user of that, you're probably seeing a little bit more activity in that package if you watch the repo.
Let's go. I like Angular animations because of the control you can get.
And I need to find
And,
the jam and the thermos. That's important stuff.
Okay, let's see. Let's see.
Is there a task on the goose list to spray the farmer with the hose?
Yeah, it was the first thing I did.
Rude. Okay, my question is Ninjetti says my question is serious. What's that Ninjedi? Like ninja plus Jedi. I think it's
Oh
Ninjedi.
no, he knows I've got the thermos.
He wants his thermos back. Is there any plan to make an official mascot for Angular? It would be nice to have the framework represented by a character since Google's already doing it for other frameworks like Flutter. Maybe this goose, because this goose is really, really funny right now. I don't
I
know.
feel like it would have to start with an A, right? An aardvark, an anteater, an antelope.
An antelope. Or a cute little like aardvark could be cute, but then I don't know what that says about like, you know,
Not
durable.
armadillos, though. I hate armadillos.
Okay. That's what I was thinking about. Was armadillo. I said aardvark. Yeah, I was like an aardvark just has like a long nose, a long snout ish thing that it can like stick its tongue into like ant hills and destroy their colony. So I don't know if that's the one for us, but yeah, interesting, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You know what, friends? Listen in the chat. Why don't you let us know what you think the mascot should be? That's what I want to hear. What are some ideas? Maybe we can workshop this as a community. What could the Angular mascot be? Um, what is the best way to locate a service file when it needs to be used in multiple feature modules? What's the best practice around that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by locate here. So normally, if you are going to use a service across multiple places in the app, the best thing to do is just mark it as injectable with provided in root, and then you just reference it where you need it. You don't even have to worry about modules at all.
Yeah, so I think the term here, locate, would be just kind of like, where do I put it such that I could use it everywhere? And I think the provided in root as injectable as provided in root will solve that problem. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Oh, look, so many good questions. Okay. Bummed to miss out on a Twitter space this week. Will we be doing more? We actually canceled our Twitter space we didn't cancel. We rescheduled to next week because we had some folks out, and with everything that's happening around the world, we were just kind of like, that's the first postponement. Then we had some people out who were going to be participating, and so now we're going to do it again. We're going to do it next week, Michael. So don't worry about it. Thank you for checking in about that. So I think Jessica, I did ask this question of you, what are you working on these days? And you already said, let's see, Angular Dev. Whoa, who's this account? That's not us. Um, are there any plans on improving the Angular Universal experience, like enabling techniques like incremental stack regeneration, stuff like that?
So, interestingly, we do have plans later this year, so in the second half of 2022, to explore improving the hydration story for Angular. And that is our plan is to work on that in collaboration with the Chrome Aurora team, which is really exciting. We've had some successful collaborations with them so far in the CLI about CSS inlining and font loading, and this is kind of the next big project we have that we're collaborating with them on. So I'm really excited about that. It's unclear yet what the scope of that improved hydration is going to be. It's pretty open-ended at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty optimistic we'll be able to do something nice.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Okay, is there any official testing framework or library in the future, such as just from React? So we kind of went down this path before with Protractor, right?
Well,
And
yeah, it's complicated. So I don't know if you know this, but Karma was originally created by the Angular team.
did not know that. I did not
Yeah.
know that we originally created Karma.
Long ago, back in the early Angular JS days, when it was just Mishko, Igor, and Vojta. Vojta created, the first name for it was called Testacular, like Test Spectacular, and nothing else. But it was quickly decided to change the name to Karma.
Lots of reasons why that makes sense. I'm not going to lie to you. Very clear to me.
For other reasons. And eventually, I think the Angular team became the ownership kind of shifted away from the Angular team towards others in the community and at Google. And so there's that. There's also Protractor was, a specific wrapper around WebDriver for testing AngularJS applications, which honestly, like, the web testing ecosystem has evolved so much since that time that, like, Protractor doesn't really provide the value it did back in the AngularJS days. It's mostly just like wrappers around WebDriver APIs at this point. So it's not really super useful. And at the same time, you have things like Jest and Cypress that have gained in popularity that are things that, the Angular team wouldn't have built those things, right? Those tools are very different than the way Google approaches web testing. So Google web testing is all about fidelity, right? It's all about testing in real browsers that are as representative as possible of what the actual end user is going to be experiencing. And Jest and Cypress, they take different approaches of approximating what you get out of the real browser experience. And the trade-off you get for that approximation is that the developer experience is really nice. Right?
Right, because Jest uses that JS DOM to simulate the browser like interactions, right?
Yeah, so in someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but Jest, as I understand it, is a simulation of the DOM, right? It is not running the real browser under the hood.
Correct.
Similarly, Cypress is running integration tests that are not using something like WebDriver to perform real user interactions. It is approximating those user interactions because, on the web platform, there's no way to, in user space, tell the browser to do something like press tab and have focus move on to the next element, right? You have to approximate all of those things. And again, like, the developer experience of these things is really nice, but the trade-off is you're losing out on the fidelity. And for a lot of people, that is a trade-off they are more than willing to take on. And it's just like Google just operates a different way. And so that's kind of where the Angular team ends up being kind of enveloped in Google's larger web testing strategy.
Okay. No, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I like Jest, actually. I've used it, but then I understand about the JS DOM thing is interesting because I wonder how often they run into parity with the browser APIs that it simulates. Like parity issues where JS DOM will just be behind by something, or hasn't fully implemented some part of your DOM. So that's why browser testing with other tools still survived. Right, because you still have Mocha and Shy, because you can run those directly in the browser, so you're using those authentic browser APIs. It's interesting. Testing is really interesting in this space. Jessica, what are you doing?
Trying to find where I put the radio's over there. Okay, because you need to get all the stuff out that is being asked for. I'm grabbing the wrong thing here. I want the radio.
Ah, that was your chance because he was holding the cooler. I see. Interesting.
Oh,
no. And
strategy.
I can't. There's a way to make him take the hat off, and then you can grab the hat off of him, and then hide it, and then he goes and grabs the sun hat. So you need to do the best thing for the gardener so that he he doesn't get skin cancer.
Wait, are you sneaking? Was that you sneaking with your head down like that?
It's more that you can look down and see he can't get through here. So, and I've locked him in the garden. So now I've got the radio.
Man, this goose is doing the business. So are you setting up a romantic picnic for somebody else?
I really don't know who the picnic is for, but we're almost there. We've got the thermos to get, and then we should have everything for the picnic. And then, I've just got to get him to get his hat off his head before we move on to the next area.
Yes. The next area is my favorite because I love honking at that kid to make him go in the phone booth over and over again.
Man.
I feel bad for the kid, but yes.
Hey Jessica, here's a question for you. Being a part of the Angular team, how long you been on the team so far?
A year and a half, I think.
Oh yeah, great, great, great. Yeah, I think we joined right around the same time.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I joined in like June, and I think you joined in like September, maybe something like that.
I think it was August.
Oh, August. Okay, yeah. All right. So
No,
your time's coming
October.
up.
It was October is when it was. I can't grab this.
So the reason I brought that up is because I love to hear about how you feel your experience has been. Like, how do you like being on the Angular team?
Well, I would have to say that this Mark guy and this Jeremy guy are just awful.
It's true.
No, it's
Can't
actually
confirm.
it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed everybody on the team. There's a big learning curve that goes from, say, using a framework to building a framework, and that has been a really good growth opportunity for me, as I've
Hmm.
mostly been someone building apps before. Um, and I feel like I'm just surrounded by some really smart people, and um, yeah, I've really enjoyed my day. It's like a little family, and I really enjoy it. Everybody's great. Oh, we've got to make the groundskeeper hammer his thumb. I
Sounds
know. I
painful.
remember how to do that. Um, yeah, yeah. I would say overall, it's been really good. Really, really like the team. Really like what we work on. Have a passion for front end, and Angular's great. So, um, yeah. Don't know what else to say other than that.
No, that's good. I mean, because I just want. So I just love hearing people talk about their experiences. It's, oh, come on, no geese, no geese, and now you're gonna make him hurt himself. That feels
Yeah.
bad.
You can
Yeah.
tear down that goose sign,
Yeah,
can't you?
yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It's funny that he put a no goose sign there or no geese sign as if the geese could read and that they recognize that's what the sign meant. You know what I mean? Like, that's so funny. Um, they got some really nice animation on the goose that really gives it so much charm.
Yes.
Really nice
I
animation.
quite enjoy this game for its charm. Okay, so here we go. Here we
Oh, you're gonna
go.
honk, aren't you?
Too early. Too early. Here we go. Gotta wait. Gotta wait.
Yeah, he's gonna hit you with that mallet. You know, we're gonna watch that. Oh, brutal.
Oof. Agent of Chaos.
I've never played this two player either, and the PC version supports two player.
That's what somebody in
So
the chat told us. Yeah, that there's a two-player option. Um, okay, so let's get back to some questions because a lot of people are asking us questions. All right, so let's see. Okay, so I want to go back up just a bit. Okay, so we got some good questions. Do we have any plans for micro front ends? I could take this one. We are exploring what micro front ends look like and what some solutions are. We're looking into it. It's on our roadmap, and you can see there's no dates or any projected release like cycle or anything like that. But I think, and Jeremy, please chime in on this one. I think right
Yeah.
now the Angular team, because we're done with Ivy and we're starting to see all the benefits continue to manifest, we're in a great learning and exploration phase where we're just looking at like what else can we do, what cool things can we do, and micro front ends is something that we're looking at.
Yeah, this is one of Minko's main projects right now. So Minko is
Hmm.
another one of our Angular DevRel team, and yeah, work's ongoing. I suspect that one of the earliest things that will result in that is a set of patterns and practices, right? More
Hmm.
guidance and less actual library code, but we'll see.
Yeah,
ah, darn it. Almost made
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, that makes sense. You were so close. I thought you were home free, Jessica. Literally, I thought you were
Yeah,
just like
I was
out the
so
door.
close.
Jessica, let me ask you a different question. All right.
Sure.
So, tell the people what's something that you're into besides like programming, because we're not only programmers, right? Like, what else do you do?
Well, I like to cook. I like to bake. Um, I like to build replicas of robots in famous space movies. Um,
Why you being so vague?
because it's more fun that way, Mark.
Okay, that's so funny. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I know that you're working on the Lost in Space robot, so it's
Yeah, the
really.
Lost in Space robot, that one. Yeah, that's the one. Maybe lost
Oh,
on Tatooine.
yeah. That's
They were
pretty
never
funny.
lost. They knew exactly where they were.
Every, for every moment they knew. Speaking of like sci-fi stuff, ish, we just started Raising Dion on Netflix, and it's like a superhero movie about like a kid who just has like powers, and he's his dad disappeared like, and this isn't like spoiler. This is just kind of the setup. His dad disappeared. His dad was a storm chaser, disappeared, and then one day Dion is just like able to start. He's trying to do magic, and then he's like starting to make stuff like levitate, and he's able to do some cool things. It's a really interesting like take on like the superhero origin story, and it's on Netflix. It's pretty good. It's pretty good so far. We're one episode in though. Let's see.
I think maybe
Go
I'll
ahead.
just move into the new space here because I can always come back for that.
Yeah, when he's
So
not suspecting it.
yes,
Nora says hi to everybody. What's up, Nora? Welcome to the party. Uh, let's see. That's cool. I face a lot of problems with facing all these concepts. Oh, okay. I face lots of problems with RxJS concepts and functions. What do I need to do? Go to RxJS Fruit and practice. That'll help. That'll help for sure. We might. I don't know. Should we do? This is a question for Jeremy and Jessica. Like, should I produce some like learning resources for Angular and RxJS, like kind of patterns, common patterns or something? I don't
See,
know. What do you
knowing you,
think?
you're asking that question out loud, but you've already made up your mind to do it.
I've thought about it for sure. I've definitely like I may or may not have already created like a plan to do something like that, but I haven't executed because one of the things that working at Google is saying no to the wrong work, right? And things that
Mhm.
aren't you shouldn't spend your time on. So I'm like, is this thing like better left to the community to just do, or should I put my mark magic on it and try it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We get a lot of feedback on our XJS in Angular, and that feedback is split about equally between, hey, there's too much RxJS and I want there to be less of it, and hey, there's not
Mm-hmm.
enough RxJS and I want there to be more of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and so we are like thinking about like what is the future of RxJS in Angular, right? Is there a path to making it optional so that you can use it if you like it, and it even when optional, right, it can more tightly integrate, but if it's not your style of programming, then you can avoid it. Probably
We'll see.
nothing on that front in the short term, but it is a recurring topic in our like long-term planning conversations.
Are you gonna pull his shoe off? Come on, Jessica. We do not do violent games, and that's an act of violence to take somebody's glasses and like run
but
away.
it's in my list. I have to get him the sunglasses now. I don't remember where
So
the
you can be
sunglasses
cool,
are.
but with like low vision and cool though, right? Like fine, like yeah,
Yes,
put the
yes.
sunglasses on. Um,
So I need to find them. I don't remember where they live.
Are they in the shop?
They might be in the shop. Let's go take a look.
Robin
But
says may or may not sound suspicious. Maybe it is suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Um,
yes, there they are.
Oh, here's a good question from Redon Tech HD. When will you make modules optional? We're working on that. We're calling it standalone components, not necessarily optional modules, but like think about it from the point of view of standalone components, like a component or a directive or a pipe that you can just build and use. I guess you could bootstrap that component without requiring it to be like registered in that in a module, right? And so that opens up some interesting patterns.
Yeah.
So we're working on it.
We're working on it. You can follow along with the progress of PRs on GitHub. And I no promises for version 14 because we, above all, right, on Angular, we prioritize stability and not breaking people. And standalone components is a very big change in Angular's internals. And we'll take as long as we need to take to make sure that it's stable, it's got a developer experience that makes sense, and that we're not breaking the world because that's the thing we care about the most is not, getting in your way, right? Like you building the applications for your work is the thing that matters at the end of the day. And us trying to like change the ecosystem out from under you in a breaking way would just suck.
Yeah. Nope. We gotta keep everybody in the party. I love this question because I think it's going to shock a lot of people. Ian C. Albright says, how is your work-life balance at Google? And Jeremy, I want you to answer last because you've been here the longest between the three of us.
That's fair.
And so, and the reason why is because I want to like share that before joining Google, I had this perception of what it would be like here. And I thought that it was like a bunch of like genius robots who like all they did was work. And for a long time, they made me not want to work here because I didn't want that potential lifestyle. But I was misinformed. I'm just saying that's what I thought. And like for me, I'm always so surprised at how much Google encourages us to maintain a healthy work-life balance. It doesn't mean the work isn't challenging, and it doesn't mean that like we don't have to put like our best effort in. But I'm just surprised at some of the things that we do here to just make everybody like try to stay healthy, right? Like, don't get burnt out. Like you don't have to do that. You can make other choices. So for me, my work-life balance is great. Sometimes I work more, sometimes I work less. And I like the fact that I can do that. Jessica, what about you? How's your work-life balance at Google?
I would say that one of the biggest concerns I had when like moving out here, no, leave it in the basket, lady. It was definitely that, having them leave it in the basket for sure. Yeah, I would say I had similar concerns to what you said, Mark, and like making sure that that my work-life balance was healthy. I didn't want to be working late into the evenings because I have a lot of hobbies, and I believe there's kind of like a healthy mix of work-life balance that like everybody should have. And there are certainly some people that like are really passionate about their work and like to work longer and later hours and stuff. And I think that's great. But so that was a big concern for me when joining Google as a whole. But I've found that that's not really an issue, and that I've been able to set my own boundaries for when and how much I work. And that has made things pretty much a joy and easy for me. So I think that's the best way I can put it.
Jeremy, now you've been here for how long again?
In May, it will be 10 years. In fact,
10 years.
We'll be streaming, Mark, on what's effectively my 10-year anniversary.
What? Okay, we're going to have to make that a special stream. Celebrate Jeremy 10 years at Google, 10 years making the world a better place. So with such a long tenure, which is really incredible, by the way, what's your opinion about work-life balance considering, you've had so much experience?
I've like be full transparency. I've had my ups and downs with it over the years. The one thing I'll stress is I have never had a manager or a management chain at Google that gave me any kind of pressure to work more than is healthy. My managers have always been nothing but supportive and caring about my own personal well-being. That said, there have been times when I definitely worked too much. When we were launching the first stable version of Angular Material, there was about a 2-week period where I was working until 2 a.m. every night. when I first started at Google, right, I'm like brand new back in 2012. I was working until like 8:30 every night from like 8 in the morning, and it was not great for my relationships. And that all came from me. That all came from, I don't know, some combination of imposter syndrome and feeling like I needed to prove myself. And over time, I kind of grew out of that, right? And now I'm at a point where I think I have a healthier relationship with work. But, it's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you have to work more. And
Right.
it's good to set boundaries.
Yep.
Here you go, Mark. Here you go.
Look at that. He can't even see. And
I just dropped his glasses for him so he can see now.
Man,
I
this
think
goose.
I think we're good now. He can tie his shoes. There we go. So
I mean, but Jeremy, I think your experience is a common experience. I think when I first started, I had a similar like kind of. I got to prove myself that I like belong here and I deserve to be here, even though I got hired, which is plenty of evidence. Which is so funny how we play that game with ourselves because there's plenty of evidence by the fact that I got hired after an extensive review or like interview process that everybody goes through. Like people met me, right? Like, and they met you, and they still said yes. Like we want this person on the team, and I just think that it's funny how like we can do this self-imposed, you know what I mean, like imposter syndrome. Because I have not met a single person here yet. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I haven't met a person here yet who wasn't kind and supportive of like welcoming new people to like Angular. So as a noogler, like everybody I met was kind and supportive, even people who were like well beyond like their career, like further down in their career than me. You know what I mean? So it's like yeah, you got to learn some stuff. You're gonna do some stuff. And anytime I work later or work a lot, some of that is because I think a lot of us are overachievers by default. Like that is just kind of part of the nature. And I'm an overachiever. I already know that. Like I choose work a lot, even though I don't know. I find it fun. Like I find a lot of fulfillment in work. So I'm an overachiever. So sometimes it's easy to kind of jump into it and just spending too much time overachieving and just like, because then you tell me that, Jeremy, that like you would like, feedback from me that you would like to see me try to do less and just try to
Yeah.
like focus. Right. That's just how I am. So like you said, I brought that stuff on myself to whenever I do work a little bit too much. That is like me like doing that and not somebody like Minko's my manager. He never is like, he's more like Mark, go get some ice cream and relax, right? Like don't like just stay here and work. So anyway, that's my point of view on that one.
Yeah. All right. Lightning round questions.
Yeah, I looked at the time and I'm like, man, this time is flying. All right, I'm gonna go through and we're gonna pick some questions. Or do you want to pick the questions, Jeremy?
Oh, you pick away.
Okay, so lightning round. Let's see. I've been demanding. Oh, that's not a question. Okay, Ali, I'm glad that you are enjoying RxJS. I know people are really excited about that. Okay, let me see. Do you? This is kind of a debugging question, but is there any general advice we can give to improve test performance in large apps?
Yes. Best advice I can give is to turn on a feature from, I think it was Angular version 13, of just to destroy your tests or destroy your environment after every test. That is a relatively new feature that will have a massive benefit for performance. Because previously, before that option and without turning it on, Angular does not fully clean up the test environment after every test.
That's right.
And it
Is it called
causes,
teardown or something?
yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It has teardown in the name.
I want to
But
find the
also
log and
Teardown.
then
If you've never
I'll look
played
into it.
Teardown, Teardown's a pretty fun game.
Well, let's go. I have
um,
not played that game.
but yeah, turn on that option. It will make a huge difference.
Okay, I want to see if I can drop this link, which I think we have that in there. Oh yes, 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 yes. All right, so I want to drop a blog link, friends, in the chat, and then you'll be able to see the. Let's see, this is RE test performance. Okay. All right, next. We answered some of that. let's see. Uh, how can we compose the template for, let's see, component A as a sum of the template? Like concatenating those templates together, maybe? Like,
Yeah. I mean, you would just have a component that has each of those three components in it. I will like Angular doesn't really give you a great mechanism for composing components like that, where I think like React would uh, let you do something like higher order components, right? Angular doesn't really have a capability for that. And so if you did want to make a component that is composed of three other components, you got to do the work to manually like hook them all up. And that like it can be a pain, honestly. And it's something we're aware of. It's honestly not something that we have any short-term plans to work on, but it is something we know is a limitation of the framework.
I don't remember where the toothbrush is.
love it. Okay, let's see. We did that one. Okay, so many questions. Okay. Is it possible to make SEO dynamic for routes too, or any recommended Git repository that can help make SEO friendly Angular apps? I
And
mean, if you do like SSG, right?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is a complicated question because
yeah, I can leave it up a little
most
bit for a
like
second.
we'll say like Google's search crawler at least, and probably other search crawlers as well, like they do some degree of running JavaScript, right? Like so we are in the realm of your pages do not need to be totally static in order for SEO to apply. Beyond that, right, then you're entering in the realm of kind of performance, and also like server-side rendering is going to make it easier for search crawlers to index your page, so that's always an option. But also just making sure that your initial load has good performance can make it so that the search crawler can finish rendering the page for one, and then also not penalize it for any performance characteristics.
Okay. Good question. Good question. Oh, Starving Musician is in the building. We see you. Welcome back. You are one of the like faithful ones that comes to like. Oh wait, we did this question. That comes to like all of the streams, and it's just always great to have you. So thanks for chiming in and giving feedback. Are there any plans to make a full stack Angular like Next.js? So this is a meta framework question.
Yeah. So
Um,
this is
yeah,
not. I say yeah, not as in like I know that we're doing it. I mean like yeah, I know what you're talking about.
you just
But
yeah, right. No, no, this is not a
uh,
commitment. This is
yeah, yeah,
acknowledgement of the
it's
question.
a so it's
Okay.
a big question, right? And Angular is already part of the way there, right? Because if you look at tools like React and Vue and Svelte, they are very much just the framework. And there are ecosystems around those things that are separate products, right? And so for React, there's things like Next.js. For Vue, there's Nuxt. And those are kind of separate efforts from the framework itself. And there's also, for React, there's like Create React App, and similar things. For Svelte, right? There's SvelteKit, which in that case, it is kind of the same-ish group that's working on like the framework and the larger meta framework, as I understand it. And in Angular, we're already in kind of this mixed state, right? Like we have Angular, the framework, and then we also have the UI components. We also have the Angular CLI, and the Angular CLI is already handling your testing, your build, your production build. The only thing that we're really not giving you, like the biggest piece of the pie that's missing, is your production web serving and any integration between that production web serving and the client. And we don't have anything to we're not like going to announce anything on the stream or anything like that. So even if hypothetically we were going to do something like that, this wouldn't be the place to reveal it. But what I will say is like, we think about it a lot. We talk about it a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, right? Jessica is leading this project to do tighter integration between Angular and Google's internal server stack. And there is work there that could carry over into the open source Angular ecosystem, and we're always very mindful of that. So I can't It's not something that you're going to see anytime soon. Like we're not actively working on anything like that, but it is something we're talking about. Right. We have a lot of conversations about the future of Angular.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So let's just try to keep this one going a little bit. How important is it to learn state management technique for juniors, and which is better to learn first, Akita, JS, or NGXS? So I'm going to answer this one from a person who I just feel like, yeah, I will say this: the first thing to do is learn the concepts of Angular, like learn how to like build your application, learn how to like get your components there, your services, right? Learn how to build stuff, and I think you can get really far before you need state management unless you're at like a company where if you're building a fresh app, then you don't really need it at first anyway. But if you're working at a company where you have to like maintain an app that's already using it, then you should use whatever they're using there and then like learn that, right? Jeremy, what do you think?
I have no opinions on this.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I
This
think
is a tricky question, but I want to acknowledge it because I am so first and foremost, I am a person who is pro data structures and algorithms in computer science. I know people it gets a lot of hate, but I also think that like you got to think about what you're building. If you work at a place that doesn't build stuff where big scale and performance is important, then those topics may be less interesting. So, with that preamble out the way, I think it was challenging, but it's challenging in a different way than you think. I don't think the challenge for me was all about the code for the Google interview. I think it was challenging to push myself to think about scale at a way that's different than the companies I worked at before, and having that influence my answer and having that influence in the type of code that I wrote. Because when you use an application that only has, let's say, 5,000 monthly active users, like for most apps, that's pretty good. But Google doesn't operate at that scale. Operates at a very different scale, right? We operate in the magnitudes like millions a month active users. So then, when you're solving problems, you have to like think about it in a different way. So when I was doing my interview, thinking about it from that perspective was interesting.
Yeah. I'll say my Google interview was a very long time ago, so I don't know how representative of the interviews that people have today. But I enjoyed my Google interview back when I had it. But I'm like a little bit weird in that when I was in college, I did competitive like ACM programming contests, which is all data structures and algorithm stuff, and so I had a bit of an advantage just by having like a long experience with that. The way I kind of think about the tech interview today, and especially in regards to tech interviews asking about classical data structures and algorithms, is like everybody knows that you're not going to use this stuff day to day, right? Like, when was the last time I wrote, I had to use Dijkstra's algorithm to find the shortest path? Never, right? Never in my
Right.
career have I needed to do that. It's not about whether you know it, it's about whether you can learn it, right? It's about
Right.
whether if going into the interview, you are able to do the prep and learn that stuff in the short amount of time that you have and then exercise it in the interview.
Right.
Because ultimately, a software engineering job is less about what you know and more about what you're able to learn.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the funny thing is, I think that learning it helped me be a better engineer in a lot of ways with more as I got more experience versus when I was younger. I just was like, so by the time I did my Google interview, I just understood the place of a lot of that stuff because I had seen so many different types of software. And I'm like, oh yeah, like you said, in the day to day, like it didn't necessarily come up. But then I think about that time when they're like, okay, you have 10 million entries, and then you need to like sort through them, right? Or organize them in clusters, right? So then if you don't know that these things exist, you don't really have that to draw on as you're looking for your solution, right? To be able to say, oh, maybe there's an algorithm that could help me with this. You see what I'm saying? It's the difference between saying I know it by heart versus like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a problem that is just bigger that the algorithm and will probably be better for me to solve this problem. So I think that's the place of them versus like memorizing them every day. Just
Yeah.
like every day you wake up and repeat your top 10 algorithms. I don't think that's the solution.
Yeah. You don't need to have an algorithm memorized for it to be a part of your toolbox.
Right. Totally agree. Jessica, did you want to chime in on that at all? 'Cause I know you have some feelings about this type of stuff.
I have some pretty strong opinions about the interview process in general, just because I think it is a huge barrier that like a lot of other fields don't have to deal with. Like there isn't such a thing as interview shape in other fields, and that I think is a little frustrating for just about everybody who wants to. If you want to switch jobs at any point, you have to spend a bunch of time preparing for that because you forget all of it so soon. And I just wish there was a better solution.
Yeah.
I also like you're talking about, Mark. I think algorithms and data structures are incredibly useful to like learn and know, and I think they have made me a better engineer overall, for sure, no question. But I think the interview process does a lot of like there's some disingenuous aspects of it, because a lot of the things that you're asked about, like do this thing that requires like dexterous formula or whatever, whoever created that paper or originally studied that, it took them like weeks or months, and a lot of folks are expected to figure that out in 45 minutes, and that's a challenge that I view as a little is it reasonably fair to figure those things out in that time? And does that really tell you how good the person's going to be at the job? Or does it tell you that they know that they spend some time studying that potential question? So
Well, I would say
I'm
this.
mixed. I'm mixed, I guess, is what I'll say. Is that I think there's value, and at the same time I think it's a really difficult experience for a lot of folks.
But I'll say, at least from my experience with my Google interview, with what I can share, I was happy to see that my interviewers, all like 13 million of them, were open to discussing the solution and understood when I was explaining what I would do, even if I didn't have the like thing memorized or perfectly like be able to execute, right? Like I was able to like structure my code examples in such a way that it's like, oh yeah, we know that he can figure this out if he had more time to just sit there and solve. Like you're talking about, Jessica, it's like if he had more time to just sit there and solve, without the pressure of like, I need this job, right? Like that. That's a really weird space to be in when you're interviewing. Um, let's see, Nathalia just came in the building. Nathalia, how are you? This game is about you being a menace to society as a goose. And
Yes.
Jessica has been fulfilling that. She made an old man smash his hand. She made the goose steal this kid's glasses. I don't know. I don't
You know,
know.
this is Untitled Goose Game.
But Jessica, check this out. Dev Times Master thinks that what you said is very true. So they're like with you. Ian, thanks for asking questions like this. I mean, this is really great. So we're glad to like talk about it. Starving musician, man, listen. I think being transparent is one of the best things all developers can do, because we can set like realistic expectations for what work looks like, even here or any place else. Right? Google was not the only company I've overworked myself at or done longer hours at. When I was at another company, I did the same thing. So it's like, I think the thing that changed for me over time was just I got older, my responsibilities changed, my availability changed. When I expanded my family, it was just harder for me to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna work until 8 when I have a partner who's been like with this kid all day and needs some help. You know what I mean? Like it just I matured and then my perspective changed. And so I think that, I think transparency is important. But when I was younger, you should have seen me when I was like 25 and working. Like you think I do a lot now. I was always doing the most, and I probably should have done less and just focused on like smaller things, right? Like more. So it's a lot of lessons learned.
Hmm.
Just a lot of lessons learned.
You ever work a 24-hour day?
Uh, oh man, 24. I've never done 24 in a day. The most I've done was I think 19 when I was in grad school. I worked on my final thesis project for 19 hours straight for a week, and I didn't shower that week, and I was just like, I don't know why I did that. That was so goofy. Why did you do a 24-hour day, Jeremy?
So I had at my last job before Google, we were doing a huge launch, just like huge, huge, huge. Um, and I ended up working from 9 a.m., right, normal like start time, until 3 p.m. the next day. Just
Oh my
kind
god.
of being like part of it, just like making sure the launch went smoothly, and a lot of
Yeah.
it just kind of like sitting around, making sure nothing went wrong.
Yeah. Holy crap. Nah.
And then
See,
I went
those
home
days
and
are
I
over.
slept from like 3:30 until like 7 a.m. the next morning.
Sheesh. Sheesh. Robin says, listen, 24 hours. Try 48 hours to hit a deadline. Oh my gosh. See, and that's funny, and that's not even at Google, right? That like Jeremy worked that long day, and Robin, like for you, like at a place where you worked that had like such an intense experience. So I think I think overworking is a thing that we should be mindful of. And I've worked at companies though, like Jeremy said, he's never had anybody imply. I remember I worked at one company and I got called at dinner, and I was like, I'm at dinner with my family, and they're just like, yeah, but we really need you, and I'm just like, man, this feels really bad. I quit that job eventually because I was out to dinner and I took that phone call. So I'm more mad at myself for answering the phone. And then, as Jessica's phone rings, right? Like, I'm more mad at myself for like taking the call. And then I'm even madder at myself that I just didn't set the hard boundary of like, look, I will work on it. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? And then I ended up coming in on Saturday, working on that Sunday. And I just feel like, yeah, there are just lots of things we can do, like setting proper expectations, so that way people don't have to work so much, right? Which is why on the Angler team, if you notice, we keep saying this: we do not set like exact deadlines for when things are going to come out. When we feel like they're stable and they're safe and they're ready, we do it. But we won't do it at the expense of trying to win like a popularity contest against like other frameworks. So I'm not saying anybody else does this. I'm just saying we will not do that, right? Like we're gonna always value the health of our team and give people time to do good work.
Yeah. And on that note, I hope Jessica, Mark, both of you, stop work a little early today and treat yourself to some Horizon Forbidden West.
Sounds like a plan. All right, that sounds like a plan. I think I will. I think I
All
will
right, so
do that.
permission was granted. So
Right. I mean, he is a TL, so like, I feel like that's kind of like a directive now. Uh, yeah, friends, we're just about at time. Oh, like a man. Mike B always comes in with a great value. Like when we're about to end this stream, it always happens. Like yeah, have a proper. Looks like there was no burnout. Yeah. Jeremy, you are a real machine. I don't think Jeremy wants to be celebrated for like working overnight. Like I don't think that's like a badge of honor.
Yeah. These days, my work-life balance is very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel pretty good. Like I said, the Angler TL just told us to like go play some video games early today, so I'm definitely gonna take him up on that offer for me to do that. We're gonna do like one or two more, and then we're gonna wrap it up because we are over time. We usually hang out for about an hour. For single file components, would it be possible to enable template language services based on like let's see, ew.
Oh, that's complicated.
Yeah, that's a complex one. We got to get Doug in here for this one next time. I want to copy this question because I want Doug to see it. I want him to,
I think Alex is probably the
or Alex. Yeah,
person you need
yeah,
on that one.
yeah. I'm gonna try to copy this one. I was trying to copy your comment, and then it was like, put this user on timeout, and I was like, no, that's not what I mean. I'm not gonna put the user on timeout. Oh, oh. Let's see. I hope that standalone components work just like JSX frameworks, where the normal import is enough. Oh, okay.
Unfortunately not.
That's really intense.
If you want to know more, go read the RFC. It will go into detail why that is unfortunately not enough.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's an improvement, I think. I think it's an improvement, So let's see. I think this is. I think we got at least most of the questions. Oh wait, one last one. I don't know if this is a quick one or not. Are there any tokens we can use to hook into an Angular app lifecycle other than app initializer?
No.
No. Okay, it was a quick one. All right. Anything else? All right. Let's see. Okay. Christopher just says, "Hey, during my time as an interviewer, I always value clean code and the thinking process over the result." Good. That's a good interviewer. I think. I think that's a good interviewer. So good. Nice to see that. I don't know what everyone in the chat witnessed besides Jessica playing this game and terrorizing these people. So I don't know what you're saying you witnessed, Rodwin, but it happened. Something happened. All right, let's see. Last questions. Totally, I get that comment just thinking about SFCs. Okay. Yeah. Oh, man, that's funny. Listen, this was Jessica's choice to play, Octavian. Can't take my eyes off that Goose Game. It is a great game. It's called Untitled Goose Game. Natalia, I do want my own stream someday when I have more time where I can just make faces and expressions to stuff that I just read on Twitter or something and just like won't say any words. I'll do that for the streets. Oh, yes. Okay, Jeremy, you see this? Validated that we can go home earlier today based on the TL's feedback. So, yes.
We're
There we
already
go.
home, so.
True. Well, you don't know where I am. I could be anywhere with this magical paper backdrop in my home office. All right, friends. I think that's gonna be it for today. Jessica, thank you for coming to the stream. People in the chat definitely send some like emoji support to let Jessica know that you appreciate her for coming and hanging out with us. She's been great, playing a great game and doing some good stuff. Have a great weekend, Jeremy. It's been great as always with you.
Let us know if there's any games you want us to play or if there's any guests you want
Yes.
us to have.
Yes. Wait, Robin, it's not over yet. You know what? Okay, friends, so as we're going to close this out, because I feel like we need one thing. Okay, so Robin says, not a single high five. There is a high five for you. See that? So everyone at home, get your hand up. You see, I'm going to clean it off. Get it warmed up for you. See the high five from me to you. All right, friends, thank you so much. We want you to continue to be how great you are in the community. Thank you. And until the next time, go build great apps.